Hello dear students, welcome to the course of Engineering Thermodynamics. Myself Mihir Mistry, Assistant Professor of Mechanical Department at LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. Today we are going to continue our session on vapor power cycles, and in particular we will learn mean temperature of heat addition. So let us understand the topic. So as you can see here, TS diagram is plotted, and on the TS diagram we have one saturation curve. On that saturation curve we have a Rankine cycle plotted like this. So Rankine cycle is plotted as 1, 2s, 3, 4s and back to 1. Right. Now what is the mean temperature of heat addition? So now here in a regular Rankine cycle, the heat addition process will be taking place from 4s to 1. So that is the regular heat addition process, 4s to 1. Barabar. Now if we are taking a temperature which is over here such that the area under the curvature drawn like this, that is area under the line 5, 6, so that area will be highlighted by yellow color. So over here you can observe that the area under the line 5, 6 can be highlighted by yellow color. So this will be the whole area. So if this area is equivalent to the area under the line drawn, that is 4s to 1, okay, so that is highlighted by blue color. Okay, so if the area under this curvature, that is blue color, that is nothing but the heat addition during Rankine cycle, that is 4s to 1. So area under that curvature is equivalent to the area under the line drawn at 5, 6. If this condition is fulfilled, if the both area is same, then the line drawn over here will be known as mean temperature of heat addition. Okay, so that is how you can explain it, right? So for definition or writing the definition, you can define it like this, that if we have a heat addition process as 4s to 1, now the area under the 4s to 1 is defined. But if we take a line 5, 6 such that the area under the line 5, 6 is equivalent to the area under the line 4s to 1, then the line drawn 5, 6 will be called as mean temperature of heat addition, right? This is how you can define the mean temperature of heat addition. It is nothing but the mean temperature, that means average temperature, approximate average temperature of heat addition, because your heat is added between T1 and T4s. So your mean temperature will be intermediate to these two temperatures, right? So that is what the basic fundamental understanding of mean temperature of heat addition. So now in writing, area under 4s1 is equal to area under 5, 6, right? So now you can write that heat added Q1 is nothing but H1 minus H4s, right? I can write like this because enthalpy of H1 that will be known to me and H4s that will be known to me. So if I will take enthalpy difference between these two, then H1 minus H4s, that will give me the heat transfer during process 4s to 1. Now you might have heard that if at constant pressure, if you are adding the heat, then that will be nothing but called as enthalpy. So here also process 4s to 1 is taking place at constant pressure. So what will happen? You are adding the heat, that is nothing but you are supplying the enthalpy. Now that enthalpy, that is equal to TdS, right? From the definition of entropy, dq, that is change in heat transfer, is equivalent to TdS, that is temperature, that is constant, and at that constant temperature respective entropy transfer difference, right? So that is known as dq is equal to TdS. So from that equation we have written that is equal to Q1 is equal to Tm1 into S1 minus S4s. Okay, so that is how you can write it. So Tm1 is nothing but the temperature of mean of heat addition, right, into S1 minus S4s. So S1 is what? S1 is this one, right? Because if you plot a vertical line like this, so that will be your S1, and S4s is what? This one, right? So if you plot vertical line from 4s, so this will be your S4s. So difference between the n points of process 4s to 1, that is known as S1 minus S4s, right? So that is known as heat transfer Q1. Okay, now if you make Tm1 as the subject, Tm1 as the subject, make Tm1 as the subject, so what will happen? This S1 minus 4s will come into the denominator of H1 minus H4s, right? So let us write it down. So further, Tm1 is equal to H1 minus H4s divided by S1 minus S4s. Now further, heat rejected Q2 is equal to nothing but, now this is the heat rejection process, see, 2s to 3 process, right? So that is heat rejected. So heat rejected is nothing but the enthalpy difference. So H2s minus H3. So in other word, I can write in T delta S from also. So that is T2 into S3 minus S2s. Okay, remember always that if you are writing it in terms of entropy, then the temperature which you are writing, that temperature shall be constant. Okay, no temperature change shall occur. Okay, so this 2s to 3 process, that whole process is taking place at constant temperature, and that is what T2. So that is why we can write T2 into S3 minus S2s, right? That is what you can write. Now heat rejected, so heat rejected is equal to H2s minus H3. See, the heat rejection is taking place during this process, that is 2s to 3, right? So 2s to 3 is nothing but the heat rejection process. So for that process, enthalpy difference will be H2s minus H3, right? So in TdS form you can write T2 into S2s minus S3, right? Remember that, students, whenever you are writing the heat transfer or enthalpy difference in terms of TdS equation, then the temperature which you are writing shall always be remain constant during that process. So here also you can observe that during process 2s to 3, the temperature T2 is remaining constant. That is why we can write like this, that is T2 as common into S2s, that is entropy of 2s point, minus entropy of 3 point, that is S3. Clear? Okay. Now further, if you observe the diagram, then you will appreciate the fact that 2s entropy is nothing but equivalent to S1, right? Because as you can see over here, if we draw a vertical line like this, then entropy of 2s and 1 will be same. Same way, if we draw a vertical line like this, then entropy of 3 and 4s will be same. So you can write instead of S2s as S1 and instead of S3 as S4s, right? So that is the heat rejection. Now efficiency equation is what? Efficiency is nothing but 1 minus heat rejected divided by heat supplied. So Rankine cycle efficiency is equal to 1 minus heat rejected divided by heat supply. So substitute the value of heat rejected and heat supply from these two equation over here. So if you substitute that, then you can observe that 1 minus T2, S1 minus S4s and S1 minus S4s will get cancelled out. So what we are left with is efficiency of Rankine cycle as 1 minus T2 divided by Tm1. Okay, so now further, this T2 is nothing but the heat rejection temperature and Tm1 is nothing but the mean temperature of heat addition. Now it is important to understand logically. Open your mind. Now listen to me carefully. Okay, now T2, that is nothing but heat rejection temperature. Okay, so the maximum the minimum practical heat rejection temperature possible is ambient temperature. I am repeating again. See, what is the effect of this T2? Let us understand first that if you are reducing the temperature T2, that is heat rejection temperature, then your efficiency will increase, right? If you are reducing the temperature T2, then your efficiency will increase. Clear? Now the minimum possible practical T2, that is heat rejection temperature, is ambient temperature. So minimum temperature that you can achieve for heat rejection practically is ambient temperature, right? So that means what? This T2 is getting fixed now, right? So you cannot go beyond the atmospheric temperature, otherwise you have to do refrigeration, right? So that is practically you can go up to 30, 25 or 35 degrees Celsius, that is atmospheric temperature. You cannot go beyond that temperature. So this line which is plotted on TS diagram, there is a limitation of that line, that you cannot plot this line beyond certain limit, because the practical atmospheric temperature cannot fall below certain temperature range, right? So that is what the fixation of heat rejection temperature. That means what? Our heat rejection temperature is fixed. So only the dependent parameter for efficiency is mean temperature of heat addition, because T2 is fixed now, that practically you can go up to atmospheric temperature. So our T2 is fixed, so the efficiency will now depend only on Tm1. Okay, that is what mean temperature of heat addition. Okay, so that is how mathematically can be written as efficiency of Rankine cycle is function of Tm1 only. Right, now if we manage to increase the mean temperature of heat addition, then we can increase the efficiency. That is the meaning, because if you recall over here, see the equation again. Let me clear it for you. See this equation clearly, that if you increase the Tm1, then what will happen? This whole term will decrease, and if this whole term will decrease, then efficiency of Rankine cycle will increase. So higher the mean temperature of heat addition, higher will be the efficiency. That is the case. Right, now for that what we can do is, see, I have written the equation of efficiency of Rankine cycle again over here, 1 minus T2 by Tm. In previous slide it was written Tm1, I have written here Tm, that is okay. Right, now in TS diagram, as you can see, now if I am adding the heat from 4s to 1, if I am adding the heat from 4s to 1, so my mean temperature of heat addition will be somewhere over here, see, right, because mean temperature of heat addition is nothing but the average or mean of the heat addition temperature endpoints, that is 4s and 1. Right, so our possible mean temperature of heat addition for 4s to 1 is Tm1 will be somewhere over here, like, right, that is Tm1. Now if just listen it to carefully, if I am increasing the temperature of heat added, that means what? I am superheating the material more, so degree of superheated is increased. So let us say here the temperature was 150 degrees Celsius at 1 bar. Now instead of 150 I am increasing to 200. So I have increased the superheated temperature. So if I will increase the superheated temperature, now my two endpoints of heat addition process are what? One is 1 dash and other is 4s. Right, so obviously for 1 dash 4s the mean temperature of heat addition will be higher than the one compared to 4s 1. Sir, what are you saying? Simple. Obviously now for 4s to 1, if I will plot the mean temperature of heat addition line, so it will be over here, see, orange color line. Agree or not? Right, because 1 dash is somewhat higher, so mean temperature of heat addition is somewhat lifted. Right, so if it is somewhat lifted, then you can appreciate the fact that higher the value of Tm, higher will be the efficiency of Rankine cycle. Agree or not? Right, now the question might be in your mind, that means, sir, what? That means we can, if we achieve the, or if we increase the temperature as much as possible, then we can increase the efficiency of Rankine cycle as much as possible. But no dear, there is a limitation. What is the limitation? See, here the one point is what? Nothing but inlet of turbine, because if you recall the basic Rankine cycle, then 1 dash to 2 dash S process is nothing but that endpoints between turbine. Right, so your 1 dash point is nothing but the superheated steam is entering into the turbine. So now if your steam is having very much high temperature, then the possibility is what? Your turbine might be having some material, right? It might be some metal. So every metal has certain boiling points or melting points, right? Every metal has certain melting points. So what will happen if the steam temperature is very much higher, nearer to melting point of the turbine material, then it will damage the turbine blades, right? So that means what? Due to metallurgical condition, we are restricted for increasing the temperature of superheating. Right, that means, sir, that means you cannot increase the superheat temperature beyond certain limit. That means, you can go for example 350 or 400. Now the turbine blades is having material such that the melting point of that material, blade material, is, let us say for example 500 degrees Celsius. So that means what? You cannot go beyond 450 degrees Celsius. Your superheat steam shall be less than or equal to 450 degrees Celsius, because if you increase more temperature for superheat steam, then it will melt down the blades. and that is not desirable, right? So that will be the case. That is called as metallurgical limitations for the turbine material. Okay, because turbine material as well as this process is taking place in boiler. So in boiler you might have learned that in boiler different heat exchanger devices are used, that is economizer, air preheater, right? So that devices material will also get damaged if the temperature is too much high. Okay, so that is the limitation, that you cannot increase the superheat temperature beyond certain limit. So that is our limitation. But still we want to increase the efficiency of the Rankine cycle. So what shall we do? So for that, what we can do is, now we will increase the pressure, because see over here this whole process, that is 4s/1 or 4s/1 dash, was taking place at constant pressure, and in this case I have taken example of 1 bar, right? So instead of 1 bar I am adding the heat at, let us say, 10 bar. So what will happen? See here, let us say this is the example in which pressure at P1 is 1 bar. So heat is added at 1 bar from brown color process, right? Now I am adding the heat at, let us say, 10 bar. So my heat addition process will be like this, that is highlighted by green color. Appreciate, right? I hope you understood that. Now just think or imagine that if you are increasing the pressure of heat addition, then mean temperature of heat addition will increase or not? Yes, obviously increase, because pressure is increasing, then temperature will also increase, right? So that is why here also what will happen, for let us say 1 bar, our mean temperature of heat addition is this one, that is highlighted by blue color. Okay, here this one, that is mean temperature of heat addition for our process 4s/1, right? Now we have increased the pressure from P1 to P2, that is 1 bar to 10 bar. So what will happen? This mean temperature of heat addition will get lifted up somewhat. So now our mean temperature of heat addition revised one is this one, that is highlighted by orange color, that is TM2, right? So that is our benefit, right? Because if we are increasing, according to the equation of efficiency, if we are increasing the mean temperature of heat addition, then our efficiency will also increase, right? So that is the benefit for us, right? But here the limitation is that, now just observe clearly and sharply, that if we are increasing the pressure, then what will happen? That in turbine, see, observe over here, if the pressure is 1 bar, that is this pressure, this one, lower line. So at that point the expansion is turbine is taking place during this process, that is 1 to 2s, right? Now if the pressure is 10 bar, that means this line. So now the expansion in the turbine will take place up to through this line, that is 5 to 6s, right? Many of you might have question, sir, why 5 and 1 is having same temperature? Can it be different? Yes, it can be different, but we have considered in previous case I have explained that metallurgical condition, right? So that is our maximum temperature that can be achieved. So we have, let us assume that we have achieved that temperature during this increase of pressure. Okay, so what will happen now? So in this 10 bar case, that is increased pressure case, the expansion in turbine will take place like this, right, during this process, that is 5 to 6s. So now the thing what I want to tell you guys is that, think about this thing, that in this case what is happening, just observe over here, this 6s and 2s point. Just for 2 minutes pause the video and observe these 2 points. What is the physical interpretation of this 6s and 2s? Just for 2 minutes pause the video and think about this. What is the physical interpretation? So physical interpretation is that if you are increasing the pressure, then at the outlet of the turbine the dryness fraction is decreasing. Agree or not? Because here what will happen, at this point and at this point, both of these 2 points, let me just clear the circle for you guys. Okay, both this point, that is 6s is over here and 2s is over here. So both these points are in saturation curvature dome, and I have already told you many times that if you are falling in between this dome, then you will have mixture of liquid plus vapor, that is wet steam. So here what will happen, I have already told you that if you are moving from saturated vapor line to saturated liquid line, so what will happen, wetness part will increase and dryness part will decrease. So here also what is happening, if you are moving from 2s to 6s, then your dryness fraction will decrease. That means more wet steam will created, right? More wet steam will be created. So your x6s will be less than x2s. So that means what, sir, what do you mean by that? So simple, both processes are taking place in turbine. So here see, this much process is wet steam, in this much wet steam is accommodated by the turbine, and here this much wet steam is accommodated by the turbine. Now you tell me which turbine will be having more life. Obviously the turbine having less wet steam, that means this turbine will have more life and this turbine will have less life, right? Sir, why is it so? Because you can see over here, this turbine is encountered or is exposed to more wet steam because of the increase of the mean heat addition pressure. Okay, that is the case. That just understand logically, this is very important. Okay, so by increasing the pressure, what will happen, this wetness of the steam is also increasing. That is the problem, that shall not happen. Okay, so that is why regulations are made that the dryness fraction of the steam shall not fall below 0.85. That means what, if you are expanding from the turbine, then here this point, at this point, the dryness fraction shall not fall below 0.85. That is the worldwide acceptance, that if you are designing any power plant system including boiler and turbine, then you shall manage such that at the outlet of the turbine your steam shall have dryness fraction greater than 0.85. I hope you understand that, right? Sir, why it is so? Because I have explained to you, right? Because if the dryness fraction is less than 0.85, then most of the turbine part will be exposed to the wet steam, and over the time the turbine will get eroded, and that is the loss, right? That is not desirable. That is why it is certain regulations are made that at the outlet of the turbine the steam shall not be falling the dryness fraction of less than 0.85. The dryness fraction shall always be greater than 0.85. Clear? So that means what? That means you cannot increase the pressure beyond certain limit. Yes or no? Right? So that is also limitation. Limitation and limitation and limitation. See, so many constraints are there now. Okay. Still we want to increase the efficiency. So what you will do now? Just think by yourself. We will meet into the next video. Okay. I am repeating again. What are the constraints? The very first constraint is that if you are increasing the temperature of superheated steam, then you have metallurgical constraints here, that the material will get melted. Further, if you are increasing the pressure, then what will happen? After the expansion of the turbine, the steam will get more wet. So that is the damage to the turbine. So you cannot increase the pressure of the heat addition beyond certain limit. That is second constraint. But still you want to increase the efficiency of the cycle. So what you will do? Think by yourself. Okay. We will meet in the next lecture. Thank you.